Hey guys, Junlox here, back with a new mini rambling review. This is a Legend of Dragoon, and while I'm talking, I'm going to play the AI generated remake trailer. It's not real. It's not actually getting a remake, unfortunately, but this is what someone did to kind of show what it could possibly be. And there's some interesting things in here with like the eyes and stuff. But so if you don't watch anything else in the video, would I recommend Legend of Dragoon? Like, see those eyes, really, really cool looking. Um, and if you're a fan of JRPGs, I would say yes. I still think it holds up, even the PS5. I played it on PS5 most recently, and I would recommend it if you're a fan of JRPGs. If you're not, it's a JRPG. Oh, hey, Johnny Depp. Um, and I would not. If you don't like JRPGs, you're not going to like a JRPG. What a shock, right? Um, Now, Legend of Dragoon is actually pretty great, I think, especially if you've played a lot of JRPGs, because um, it's actually really interesting. It does a lot of things that I think a lot of JRPGs just haven't done. It can be a bit maybe divisive. I mean, there's good and bad points. There's definitely trade-offs, right? The story, I would say, is pretty great. And the game itself is actually paced very well, uh, to the point where it actually almost feels like it's going too fast at times, because it's just like go 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 go. Um, and that actually kind of shows maybe the biggest flaw, which is the combat. And it's not necessarily a flaw, but the story of, the pace of the game and the story is very fast, and then the gameplay itself, the combat, is very slow. Doesn't mean the combat is boring. It's actually really intense. Uh, but those two things combined might be a little bit jarring to people, or the fast paced story might make the combat seem even slower than it actually is. Um, so story is great. Um, Pacing is good. Art direction, I would say, is really interesting. It has this almost like 90s anime style. And what I mean by that is those of you that have been watching anime for a while, you're going to know what I'm talking about when I say it's like it follows in the footsteps of those anime that excuse me, where the machines are actually organic, almost like alien technology. So stuff like Evangelion, Escaflowne, Bubblegum Crisis, all these kind of, Trigun, where the alien stuff is organic and it like grows and shifts. That's basically this game. Um, Things that inspired Septerracore, kind of the same deal. Really interesting lore as well. There's like this whole um, mythology that's set in there, and the whole thing feels really interesting and alien, and it's really fantastic. And I had played it originally when it came out, but replaying it, I was like, wow, I forgot how good this actually was. Um, Music is also pretty good. Uh, Again, it's a trade off here, because I like the more quiet environmental stuff, and that's what the majority of the soundtrack is for Legend of Dragoon. And that's not to say there aren't some bangers though. Like, I think it's Lloyd's theme, where it's almost like I don't even know, opera, the Catholic. It's like Middle Eastern with like a voice track over it. It's really unique and it's great. It's like gets the heart pounding. Um, Characters are good. The I almost feel like the pacing is too fast for the game, because even though it's 4 discs, I almost feel there's almost like a Xenogear situation where it feels like the story was supposed to be bigger and they ran out of time, so they crammed it down, because the last couple dungeons and the last disc that's where you start getting all um, the character specific quests and like flashbacks and stuff. Many characters get some development, but for the majority of the characters, the development happens at the end of the game, which is that doesn't feel great, but it's understandable, and it's still, for me at least, it's still welcome. It's nice to see characters that they all get some sort of development, even if it's not necessarily resolved properly or to feel organic, right? It does feel a little bit rushed. That I would say is the big flaw. The other big flaw to some is the combat, and even though I like the combat, I would still say I disliked it at the same time, because it's like I mentioned Xenogears, right? And that's another one with the sort of anime organic alien tech style, or the real world. This is back when it's not a Square game. It's actually a Sony game. But it is, by and large, it flopped. It flopped on release. But I would say it's actually a worthy competitor to some of the big name Final Fantasy titles, because of how immersive the world actually feels. But the combat is definitely a weak point, potentially a weak point. But like I mentioned, it's still intense. So what the way the combat works is, it's kind of your standard, 3 or 4 dudes in a row taking turns whacking the enemy. But as far as your characters go, it's not just the press X to attack thing. It's not just press X constantly while your characters attack. It is a bit more like Xenogears, where each character has combos, but they are equipable or selectable in the equipment menu, right? So, and they, like your main character Dart, I think he has like 7 different combos, but other characters have 3, and everyone else has kind of in the middle somewhere, right? Anywhere from 3 to 7 different combos, and they do different things. Like some of them are pure damage focused. Some of them are a little bit less damage focused, but they power up your Dragoon meter that lets you turn into, the Dragoon form and wreck shit. Actually, that I would say is the biggest weak point of the whole game. Is the Dragoon stuff is underwhelming, but the actual combat system is not. It's not bad. It does. The thing that slows everything down is your character runs up, and then you see like reticles, right? It's almost like a quick time event, and depending on the combo, you'll have either longer combos or shorter combos, but the most powerful ones are long. And so you see your character run up, and you'll see it like shrink. So there's like a target in the middle, and it's like a reticle that shrinks over it, and when they line up is when you have to hit it, and then your character will complete one step of the combo. Now, longer combos, like I think Dart's longest one is 6 or 7 attacks, 5 to 7 attacks, I think. And all the timing is different for all the different combos, right? So it's not like just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It'll be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Different combo lengths. And what makes it challenging is, first off, you have to hit them, because if you can't land the combos, like the first time I played, I sucked, and so I had to switch back to basically the basic combo just so I could actually do damage. Because if you're not landing your combos, you are doing nothing. You are doing like chip damage. But if you do the full combos, then sometimes you can kill bosses in a few rounds. Like it's really almost disgusting how overpowered some of the combos are, but at the same time you got to get good, and you have to grind them out, and the combos get leveled by successfully performing them as well. And that actually, the level of your combos and they're called additions, by the way, the level of your combos and what combo you're on actually makes more of a difference than your actual character level. So you gain levels like a regular RPG, but that almost doesn't matter. And so it's almost just better to just grind the levels for your additions. Um, but that definitely can slow things down significantly. Uh, and I will confess, I was a little bit bored doing that. Um, so it's hard too, because at least for me, I can't put on. Sometimes I'll put on like a podcast or a movie or whatever in the background and listen to that while I'm just grinding away. This you can't, because you have to focus. You have to focus on getting the timing right. And as if that wasn't hard enough, um, enemies can counterattack you during your combos, and you really have to focus, because sometimes you have like half a second to respond, because they could do it not necessarily at any point during the combo, but there's, somewhere in the middle. But that might be in one of the things where it's like where you have to hit the thing like within a second yourself, right? So your combos might have half a second between hits, and so you have to be like da 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 da, right? But all of a sudden, one of the things turns red, and you have to hit a different button, but you don't figure that out until halfway through the reticle shrinking, because it'll start like normal. It's blue. They're blue, but they change orange when the enemy is counterattacking, and the enemy will make a sound as well. There is like they tell you they're going to do it. They give you the opportunity to counter their counter, but sometimes it happens so fast, and you see it's blue and it starts shrinking, and then all of a sudden it turns orange, and you're like, oh god, and you at least for me, I screw up the whole thing, and as if that's not enough, they counterattack, so they reflect the damage back onto you. So you could be seriously hurting if you screw up your combos. And like I said, it slows things down, but it makes it super intense for at least for me, to the point where even when I'm grinding, I cannot focus on something else. And so for me, that is maybe the only, that and the Dragoon forms kind of sucking is the only negative to the game. Everything else is good. The dungeons, they're actually pretty short. They're pretty varied. Some of them, I mean, they're doing the thing that a lot of JRPGs did, where it's not quite puzzles, but it's like, oh, you have to hit this switch to enable this thing. And so it's not just like run through the dungeon. You have to do things. And that's maybe a little bit tedious, but at the same time, it's like, well, it keeps it from being like every other JRPG out there, right? So let's see. Recommend it if you're a JRPG fan. The story is good, characters are good, music is good, art direction is good. The PS5 graphics, obviously back in the day, like the reason it flopped was because Sony spent a lot of money on it. They were trying to compete with Final Fantasy, and people just weren't interested, which honestly is a huge shame, because I thought it was fantastic, even for the time. Like especially for the time these days, when there's so many like different JRPGs, and you have indie JRPGs just like trying to be like Final Fantasy, or trying to be like Chrono Trigger or Mario RPG or whatever. You have all these different ones, and so it's almost like saturated, right? Your choices are infinite, the possibilities are endless. But back when it came out, I thought it was pretty legendary. I was like, this is great, and it is adult. It actually, I mean, it handles some serious themes and even like romance in a mature way. What the hell happened? That's a great what happened to Legend of Dragoon. It flopped, and then Sony didn't do anything with it, but it's also Sony, because you play Astrobot or Astro's Playroom, and you see all the dead IPs that they have that they literally haven't done anything with. I mean, seriously, throw a couple million at, don't spend like 100 million on some of these games, but throw a few million at them, and have an indie team develop a new game or something, But yeah, so graphics haven't really aged well. I know I saw online someone is doing fans are doing like some kind of a HD project, like an HD upscaling, and I think it could benefit from that. Um, with AI machine learning, should we click on this? We're still muted, so I don't know. I don't know how this will be. I hope it shows the old and the new. This looks, I can't tell honestly, but this is like some of the cutscenes, and I wish we could have gotten some of that because these dragoons are super powerful, and you know ours are just kind of, they feel weak. Then again, magic is dying in this world, so um, yeah, you can tell it's a little too smooth. It's upscaled. Yeah, it just doesn't look quite right. Um, but good enough. Oh yeah, the sound mixing during the cutscenes is terrible as well. There's some translation issues. It's a little bit Englishy, but honestly, I'd rather have that. I would rather have that than the freaking, localization bullshit that we get today. Um, yeah, but at least on the PS5, they upscaled the models, but not the pre-rendered backgrounds, because this is around the time of Final Fantasy VII, or the original Resident Evils, where uh, the backgrounds were static and they were pre-rendered, and so they look good, but you polygons were hard to, the processing power was low, and so they could display static images like pre-rendered stuff, but they could not do actual graphics very well. um, so yeah, so it's like the old pre-rendered backgrounds with the newer models, and that kind of, it's a bit jarring. It doesn't mesh properly. Oh yeah, that's that dude dying. He has a giant freaking spear through his chest, and then you have the weird alien enemies. This is the final stand. Spoilers, everybody dies. It's not it's not this is not your party. This is like before. This is what I mean when I say that, like, the game is really epic, and the story is really great. It's they spend so much time going into the mythology of the world, and you don't actually kill God at the end. Um, it's not like that. Oh, well, kind of, maybe a little bit. But yeah, they put it in there. It's so great. It's like creatures came from fruits, right? The fruits of the divine tree is how. Oh, the OG. Oh, they're showing the different stuff now. Okay, cool. In 4K. I'm gonna be honest, I can't tell a difference, but there's a lot of blur. Um, yeah, it's like a divine tree, and then each of the species was a different fruit that fell off and sprouted, and so we're all like, the divine tree is, oh, see, that's a lot different. The divine tree was like flesh, not plant. It's very odd, but it's, whatever. Yeah, I think we'll end it here. I think I've basically talked enough about it. It's almost 20 minutes. So to summarize, right? If you like JRPGs and you haven't played Legend of Dragoon, I do recommend it. I'd also recommend spending a little bit of time grinding your additions up. For Albert especially, or is it for the green dude? Yeah, for the green guy. Level up his skills, and if you can get his master edition, which you only get by mastering all the other ones, then you'll just rock stuff. Oh yeah, the final boss, underwhelming, but I understand what they were trying to go for. They were trying to go for a like a Chrono Trigger thing. Yeah, you play the final boss and you're like, oh yeah, this is Chrono Trigger. But it just doesn't, like I said, doesn't quite work, because it just feels like they had to. It feels like they ran out of time and or budget, and just had to rush everything. So high recommend. It was pretty great. If you want to use a guide, the platinum's pretty easy to get, but there are some missable trophies. So, if you want that, then that's totally fine. If not, if you just want to sit back and enjoy the story, that's totally acceptable as well. Like I said, I do recommend it. Yeah. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you guys so much for your time and attention. Really do appreciate it. Really hope you guys enjoyed this video and some of my others as well. Any questions, comments, concerns, good, better, and different, let me hear them. I do read all of them. I do try and respond to all of them as well. And that is it. Hopefully your guys' day is going well. Just as good as mine, hopefully better. Hope to see you guys next time. Till then, guys, take care.